Across every corner of our planet, there are places so brutal, so unforgiving, that life itself seems impossible. Scorching deserts where the air burns your lungs. Frozen wastelands where the sun disappears for months. Mountains that pierce the sky, and oceans that never rest. Yet even in every one of these extremes, there are wings. Birds that refuse to break. Creatures built by evolution's toughest lessons. Masters of adaptation, endurance, and impossible flight. Some find warmth in blizzards. Some turn thirst into strength. Some soar where even the air is too thin to breathe. And some travel farther than any human ever could. They don't just survive the harshest corners of Earth. They thrive there. From the white silence of Antarctica to the roaring storms of the open sea, this is a journey across the planet's most hostile places, guided by 25 species that prove resilience wears feathers. These are the 25 birds built for the harshest places on Earth. You think winter's rough where you live? Try standing on ice at -60 degrees, barefoot, while balancing your unborn child on top of your feet. Welcome to Antarctica, and meet the emperor penguin, the bird that turns survival into an art form. Every winter, when most creatures flee the cold, this penguin marches straight into it. For over 60 miles, hundreds of them waddle through blizzards and black nights to reach their ancestral breeding grounds, a frozen plain where life really shouldn't exist. No map, no GPS, no complaining, just pure instinct. Then comes the family drama. The female lays one egg, just one, and carefully passes it to her mate before heading back to the sea to eat. He stays for 2 entire months. No food, no shelter, no break. Just a wall of penguins huddled together, each one rotating between the icy edge and the warm center. It's teamwork, penguin style. Think of it as the world's toughest group hug. Scientifically, these birds are walking miracles. Their feathers trap warm air so efficiently that their skin temperature can stay 20 degrees warmer than the ice beneath them. Their metabolism slows to save energy, and their feet have special blood vessels to keep eggs from freezing. Honestly, they're more advanced than most heating systems. Fun fact, male emperor penguins can lose over half their body weight during this vigil. But when that egg hatches and mom returns from the ocean belly full of fish, the reunion looks like pure joy. 2 months of silence broken by a single chirp of new life. So here's the real question. Is the emperor penguin brave or just beautifully stubborn? Maybe both. Because when the rest of the world runs from the cold, this bird walks straight into it, proving that warmth isn't a place, it's something you build together. And while he faces the cold standing still, our next survivor faces it on the move, flying through the endless white with eyes like liquid gold. Meet the snowy owl, the silent queen of the Arctic night. If the emperor penguin is the steadfast father of the cold, then the snowy owl is the Arctic's queen. Silent, fierce, and way too photogenic for her own good. You've seen her in movies, perched in the snow like royalty, those golden eyes glowing like she knows every secret of the tundra. But behind that elegant stare, a ruthless survivor who laughs at blizzards and hunts in daylight. Now here's the hook. While most owls lurk in the shadows, the snowy owl says, "Nah, I'll hunt in full sunlight." Because in the Arctic summer, there's no night at all. For months, the sun never sets. So this owl flips the rules and becomes a daytime predator. The only owl that basically says, "Who needs the moon?" And what does she hunt? Pretty much anything that moves. But mostly lemmings, the tiny furballs that fuel the Arctic food chain. One snowy owl can eat over 1,500 lemmings a year. That's not hunting, that's pest control. And when food runs out, she doesn't sulk. She packs up and moves. Sometimes thousands of miles south, showing up in places like city fields and airport runways. Imagine walking out to your car in Boston and locking eyes with this giant snow ghost just staring at you. It's like nature reminding you who's boss. Here's the science part. Those feathers aren't just for looks. Each one traps layers of air for insulation, keeping her warm in temperatures that can kill a human in minutes. Even her legs and toes are feathered, like built-in snow boots straight off the runway. Her flight is completely silent. No sound, no warning, just instant death for anything small and fuzzy. She's basically the Arctic's ninja. Fun fact, male snowy owls get whiter as they age, while females keep more dark speckles. It's like evolution decided. The boys get the tuxedos, the ladies keep the pattern and the power. But there's a softer side too. Snowy owls are devoted parents. When a storm hits, the female spreads her wings wide to shield her chicks from the snow, while the male hunts non-stop to feed them. That's teamwork that melts even the coldest tundra. So tell me, is the snowy owl a graceful guardian of the Arctic, or a silent assassin disguised as a snow angel? Maybe both, because in a world of endless white, only those who master patience and precision get to rule. And speaking of travelers who rule the cold, our next bird doesn't just endure the Arctic. It chases it across the planet, from one pole to the other. Meet the snow goose, the storm flyer that turns migration into a blizzard of wings. You ever complain about bad travel weather? Then you've clearly never been a snow goose. This bird doesn't cancel flights because of snowstorms. It flies through them. Every year, millions of them take off from the Arctic tundra and migrate thousands of miles south, cutting straight through freezing winds, sleet, and blinding whiteout skies. While planes are grounded, the snow goose keeps going. No flight delays, no excuses. Now here's the wild part. They don't just migrate in small family flocks. They move in massive V-shaped formations, so big they can cover entire stretches of sky. You can hear them before you see them. That chorus of honking, echoing over frozen lakes like a marching band made of feathers. It's loud, chaotic, and honestly, kind of beautiful. Scientists have figured out that each V isn't random. It's teamwork. Every position is aerodynamic. Each goose catches the updraft from the one in front, saving energy for the flock. The leader does the hardest work, but when it gets tired, another takes the lead. They share the struggle, proving that survival isn't just strength, it's cooperation. And get this, the snow goose can handle temperatures that would make most birds turn into popsicles. They rest on frozen coastlines and even sleep on ice. Their down feathers trapping air so efficiently that snow can pile on their backs without melting. They're like living winter jackets that honk. Fun fact, these geese have a built-in travel calendar. They time their migration perfectly with the seasons, arriving in the Arctic right as the tundra begins to thaw, so they can nest on fresh ground before the freeze returns. Talk about punctual. They're basically the airline industry done right. Now here's the question. Why risk flying through storms every single year? Because the Arctic may be harsh, but it's also rich. A land full of light, space, and opportunity, if you're willing to fight for it. So maybe the snow goose isn't just a traveler, it's a believer in movement, in community, in timing. It's a reminder that sometimes the best way to survive winter is to meet it head on and fly through the storm together. And while the snow goose conquers the sky in formation, our next Arctic wanderer takes flight alone, tracing a journey that spans the entire Earth. Meet the Arctic tern, the bird that lives in 2 summers and no winters. You think you travel a lot? The Arctic tern just laughed. This little white bird is the ultimate globetrotter, the true definition of anywhere but home. Every single year, it flies from the top of the world to the bottom, from the Arctic to Antarctica and back again. That's more than 40,000 miles, the longest migration on the planet. Frequent flyer miles? Forget it. This bird would own the airline. Picture it, endless sky, endless sea, storms, predators, and no pit stops. While we complain about jet lag, the Arctic tern just keeps going, gliding over oceans, crossing continents, chasing the sun like its personal treasure. Because here's the secret. This bird literally lives in sunlight. When Arctic summer ends, it just flies south to catch summer in Antarctica. 2 summers, no winters. The smartest climate strategy ever invented. Scientists still can't decide which is more amazing, the distance or the precision. Somehow these terns return each year to the exact same patch of tundra where they were born. No GPS, no landmarks, just instinct written in their bones by 1,000 generations? That's not just navigation, that's legacy. Fun fact, in its lifetime, one Arctic tern can fly over 1 million miles, the equivalent of traveling to the moon and back twice. All that powered by tiny fish and a pair of wings no longer than your forearm. They weigh less than a sandwich and outfly airplanes. But here's the twist. Life on the move means they rarely touch land. They feed, sleep, and even nap midair, rocked by ocean winds that never stop. For them, stillness isn't rest, it's danger. Because the moment they stop flying, the world catches up. So what do you think? Is the Arctic tern tireless or just addicted to travel? Maybe both. But when you've mastered the art of eternal daylight, why settle for half the world? And while this little traveler chases the sun, our next Arctic master takes a different path. It doesn't run from winter, it becomes winter. Meet the rock ptarmigan, the snow-colored shapeshifter of the north. You've heard of disappearing acts, right? Well, the rock ptarmigan is nature's greatest magician, a bird that doesn't just survive the snow, it turns into it. Up in the Arctic and the high mountains of the north, where the wind never stops and the world is 50 shades of white, this bird has mastered camouflage so perfectly it can vanish in plain sight. Predators look straight at it and see nothing. Talk about the original stealth mode. Here's how it works. In summer, the rock ptarmigan wears a warm brown coat, matching the rocky tundra and mossy ground. But when winter hits, it molts into a flawless coat of pure white feathers, from head to toe, even its feet. And those feathered feet, they act like tiny snowshoes, spreading its weight so it can walk on powder without sinking in. Snow boots, version bird. Now picture this. A blizzard rages across the tundra, visibility zero, temperature brutal, and the ptarmigan just sits there, calm as a monk in meditation. It fluffs up, traps a bubble of warm air in its feathers, and lets the storm pass. While other creatures panic, this one naps. That's not survival, that's confidence. Here's a fun fact. When danger comes, the rock ptarmigan often doesn't fly away. It freezes, perfectly still. Its camouflage is so good that predators literally walk past without noticing. Sometimes invisibility beats speed. Sometimes patience is the sharpest weapon. And in spring, the transformation begins again. The snow melts, the feathers shift back to brown, and the tundra comes alive with their strange, croaky calls. Half sneeze, half laugh. It's not a pretty song, but it gets the job done. Because up here, charm isn't in the sound, it's in the timing. So what do you think? Is the rock ptarmigan a coward hiding from the cold, or a genius using invisibility as armor? Maybe both. Because when the world freezes over, the smartest move isn't to fight it, it's to become it. And as this quiet shapeshifter disappears into the snow, we leave the ice behind and climb higher, to where the air thins, the clouds touch the earth, and life takes flight on the edge of the sky. Next stop, the Himalayas with the bar-headed goose, the bird that breathes where humans can barely stand. So you think climbing a mountain is hard? Try flying over it without oxygen tanks. Meet the bar-headed goose, the high-altitude athlete that turns the Himalayas into its personal skyway. Every year, these geese migrate from the warm plains of India to the lakes of Tibet and Mongolia. But instead of taking the easy route around the mountains, they fly right over them, through freezing winds, thin air, and altitudes higher than 29,000 feet, the same height as Mount Everest. That's a place where human lungs burn, engines stall, and even the air itself feels tired. But not this bird, it just keeps going. Scientists once strapped tiny trackers on these geese to figure out how they survive such madness. Turns out they're basically built like superheroes. Their blood cells grab oxygen faster than ours, their hearts beat stronger, and their wings are perfectly shaped for long, steady glides in thin, unforgiving air. Even their muscles have more mitochondria, nature's built-in energy factories. It's like having turbo engines hidden in your feathers. And here's the kicker. They usually fly at night when the air is colder and denser. making it easier to breathe. While we're tucked in bed, they're out there cruising past the moon, quietly crossing the world's tallest peaks like it's just another commute. Fun fact, one goose was recorded climbing nearly 6,000 meters in 8 hours. That's the equivalent of hiking Everest before breakfast. No drama, no music montage, just pure endurance. But what really sets them apart isn't just their physiology, it's their mindset. They could go around the mountains, sure. Plenty of other birds do, but not the bar-headed goose. It chooses the hard way every single time, because maybe deep down, it knows the view's better from the top. So tell me, is that courage or just cosmic level stubbornness? Maybe both. Because when the air runs out and the world gets thin, the bar-headed goose reminds us that limits are just invitations to fly higher. And as this mountain flyer disappears into the clouds, our next giant takes the stage. A legend with wings so wide it barely needs to move them. Meet the Andean condor, the silent ruler of South America's endless sky. You think you've got presence? Try walking into a room, or soaring over a continent with a 10-foot wingspan. That's the Andean condor, the high-altitude monarch of South America. A bird so massive it doesn't fly, it glides. Seriously, this thing can spend 5 hours in the air without flapping once. 5 hours. While most birds are working overtime just to stay airborne, the condor just rides the wind like it's royalty. It floats on invisible elevators, currents of warm air rising from the Andes, turning flight into effortless grace. But here's the twist. For all its majesty, the condor is no hunter. It's a scavenger. It feeds on what's already gone. Dead llamas, fallen deer, whatever the mountain gives. And that's the beauty of it. While everyone else fights for the kill, the condor waits, patient, calm, letting the world deliver its meal. You could call that lazy, or you could call it wise. Scientifically, it's a masterpiece of design. Huge wings to catch every whisper of air, a lightweight skeleton for perfect balance, and a bald head. Not for looks, but for hygiene. You don't want feathers when you're eating carrion in the sun. Cleanup's hard enough. And get this, these birds can live over 70 years in the wild. 70. Some humans don't even make it that far. They mate for life, nesting on cliffs thousands of meters high, where wind, rock, and silence are their only neighbors. Each pair raises just one chick at a time, a slow, deliberate rhythm that matches the mountains they call home. Fun fact, in ancient Inca mythology, the condor was seen as a messenger between Earth and the heavens. And honestly, that tracks. Watch one soar across the Andes, and you can see why people believed it carried souls. So here's the question. Is the Andean condor a lazy freeloader or the ultimate Zen master of the sky? Maybe both. Because when you can live 70 years, rule the mountains and let gravity do the work, that's not laziness, that's mastery. And while this silent king circles the Andes, another giant rises from the east, a creature sacred to Tibet and just as fearless in the thin, cold air. Next, we meet the Himalayan griffin, the vulture that soars above the roof of the world. Welcome to the roof of the world, where the air is razor thin, the cold bites harder than steel, and even the clouds seem to move slower. Here, only a few creatures can survive, and one of them doesn't just survive, it rules. Meet the Himalayan griffin, the ghostly vulture of the high peaks. This bird is huge, with wings stretching more than 10 feet. It glides effortlessly through the thin, freezing air that would leave most animals gasping. While we humans need oxygen masks, the griffin just rides the updrafts between the summits, floating between heaven and earth like it owns both. But don't expect it to hunt. The griffin's not a killer, it's a cleaner, a scavenger that keeps the mountains healthy by feeding on the dead. Sounds grim? Maybe, but without birds like this, disease would spread and death would linger. In the harsh balance of the Himalayas, the griffin is not the villain, it's the janitor of life itself. Here's the science. Its lungs and blood are adapted for high altitudes, sucking every last molecule of oxygen from the thin air. Its wings are massive yet light, its eyesight sharper than any telescope. It can spot a carcass miles away, then swoop down in a slow, regal spiral. A descent so graceful it almost looks like a ceremony. And speaking of ceremony, in Tibetan culture, this bird is sacred. During sky burials, monks leave the bodies of the dead on the cliffs to be returned to nature by the griffin's beak. It's not seen as dark, it's seen as release. The bird carries the spirit back into the wind. Life, death, and sky, all one endless circle. Fun fact, when they're not soaring like ghosts, Himalayan griffins sunbathe. Yeah, really. Spreading their wings to warm up between flights, like Gothic angels taking a coffee break. So here's the thought. Is the griffin a grim reaper or a guardian? Maybe both. Because up here, above 5,000 meters, beauty and death share the same sky. And just when you think you've reached the top, look again. There's a flash of black and gold, dancing joyfully in the coldest wind. Next up, the alpine chaff, the playful trickster of the mountains. Up here, where oxygen runs thin and silence rules, you wouldn't expect laughter. But listen closely, and you'll hear it, a sharp, cheerful chee-o echoing off the cliffs. That's the alpine chaff, the mountain's mischief maker. A bird that treats danger like playground equipment. Sleek black feathers, bright yellow beak, red legs. It's like the rock star cousin of the crow, and it lives where even the air feels like glass. While most birds struggle to breathe above the tree line, the chaff zips through glaciers and cliffs like it's born from the wind itself. In the dead of winter, when temperatures drop below freezing and storms slam the Alps, the chaff doesn't hide, it plays. Riding the air currents, performing flips, dives, and spirals, like it's auditioning for Cirque du Soleil. And that's not just showing off, that's science in motion. Their narrow wings and light bones let them glide and twist through thin mountain air with almost no effort. It's a masterclass in aerodynamics, powered by curiosity and guts. Now, these birds aren't loners. They live in flocks, sometimes hundreds strong, constantly chattering, arguing, and sharing food like a noisy mountaintop family. They'll swoop down to ski lodges or climbers' camps, snatching crumbs right out of human hands. You can try to guard your sandwich, but good luck outsmarting a bird that's learned to unzip backpacks. Fun fact, the alpine chaff is one of the highest nesting birds in the world. Their nests cling to cliffs above 20,000 feet, held together with sticks, wool, and courage. And their chicks? They hatch into a world of wind, snow, and maybe a few human spectators gasping for breath below. But here's the twist. This happy little daredevil isn't reckless. It's adaptable. When the weather turns deadly, it moves lower down the mountain, finding warmth and food near villages, then flies right back up when spring returns. It knows when to dance and when to duck. So what do you think? Is the alpine chaff fearless or just a feathered prankster? Maybe both. Because in a world of cold stone and thin air, it's the rare creature that doesn't just survive, it celebrates being alive. And while the chaff dances with ice and wind, far below, another survivor faces the opposite extreme. Not frozen peaks, but endless heat. Next stop, the cactus wren, the desert's tiny comedian who thrives where the sun wants you dead. Think your summer's hot? Try living in a place where the air shimmers, the ground cracks, and shade is just a rumor. Welcome to the desert, home of the cactus wren, a bird that basically laughs at the sun. Now this little guy doesn't just survive the heat, he thrives in it. While most animals are hiding underground by noon, the cactus wren is out there hopping between spiky cacti, singing like it's a cool spring morning. It's like that one friend who's cheerful before coffee. You can't tell if it's inspiring or suspicious. Here's the hook. This bird never drinks water, ever. It gets every drop of moisture it needs from the insects it eats. Beetles, ants, grasshoppers. It's like its own little hydration buffet. And those cactus thorns? Not a problem. The wren builds its nest inside them, using the spikes as a free home security system. Snakes, hawks, coyotes, all kept at bay by nature's barbed wire. Scientifically, the cactus wren is a masterpiece of efficiency. Its feathers act like solar reflectors, bouncing off the worst of the sun's rays, and its metabolism is fine-tuned to squeeze every ounce of water from its food. When the desert hits 45 degrees Celsius, it doesn't sweat, it strategizes. It forages in short bursts, then retreats to the shade of a cactus to cool off, saving energy like a desert accountant. Fun fact, cactus wrens love decorating. They'll build multiple nests across their territory, sometimes just to use as decoys. You could call it smart or just a little bit extra. Either way, it works. And here's a fun thought. While most of us complain about the heat, this bird sings louder when it's hottest. Maybe it's showing off, or maybe it's just shouting, "Still here!" Either way, it's hard not to admire that attitude. So tell me, is the cactus wren fearless or just too stubborn to quit? Maybe both. Because in a world where everything burns, it doesn't hide. It builds a home right in the fire. And speaking of fearless survivors, our next traveler isn't tiny at all. It's big, bold, and born for the outback. Meet the emu, the desert giant that walks through heat like it owns the horizon. If the cactus wren is the desert's scrappy little survivor, then the emu is its unstoppable tank. This towering bird, Australia's feathered marathon runner, doesn't fly, doesn't panic, and doesn't stop. When the land burns and rivers dry, the emu just keeps walking, always forward. Now this bird isn't just big, it's a beast. Standing over 6 feet tall, running up to 50 kilometers an hour, and covering hundreds of miles through dust and heat without ever needing a drink for days. It's like if Forrest Gump and a dinosaur had a baby. Here's the thing, the Australian outback is brutal. Temperatures soar, food disappears, and even the shade looks tired. But the emu has evolved a genius strategy. Wander. When drought hits, they just start walking, migrating in loose herds, following the faint scent of rain. No nest, no schedule, no complaints. Just instinct and endurance. And the family dynamic? Let's talk about dad of the year. Once the female lays her eggs, she dips. Job done. The male takes over completely. He sits on those eggs for nearly 8 weeks, barely eating or drinking, losing a third of his body weight just to keep them warm. When the chicks hatch, he's the one who raises them, teaching them to find food, to fight, to survive. Single father. No drama, no excuses. Fun fact, emus don't sweat, so instead of overheating, they regulate temperature by adjusting blood flow to their skin and air sacs. Basically, they're walking air conditioners with feathers. Their long legs also radiate heat, which is why you'll sometimes see them standing perfectly still, cooling down like living solar panels. But here's the twist. Emus are curious, too curious. They'll walk right up to cameras, cars, even hikers, just to see what's going on. Some people think it's bravery. Others call it bird stupidity. Either way, it's hilarious. So what do you think? Is the emu a genius nomad or a desert comedian with muscles? Maybe both. Because while most creatures hide from the sun, this one keeps walking straight into it. Proof that sometimes the best way to survive is to never stop moving. And from the dusty plains of Australia, we head to Africa, where survival isn't about walking farther, but flying together in millions. Next up, the red-billed quail, the fiery swarm that turns the sky into a storm. If the emu is the desert's lonely wanderer, then the red-billed quail is the total opposite, the loudest, wildest crowd you've ever seen in feathers. This tiny bird from Africa might look harmless on its own, but when they gather, they turn the sky into a living, screaming cloud. We're talking millions of birds moving together, a swarm so thick it can block the sun. Farmers call them feathered locusts, and honestly, that's not an exaggeration. One flock can eat up to 50 tons of grain a day. Yeah, 50 tons. Basically a flying food crisis. But you've got to admit, that's impressive teamwork. Here's the crazy thing. They don't live in lush jungles or green valleys. Nope, they thrive in the dry, punishing savannas of sub-Saharan Africa, where water is rare and the sun doesn't play nice. So how do they make it work? Timing. They survive on rhythm, wading through the dry season, then exploding into life the moment the rains arrive. Seeds sprout, insects hatch, and boom. The qualia throw the biggest baby boom in nature. Scientifically, they're a marvel of coordination. Each bird reacts in milliseconds to its neighbor, turning a chaotic swarm into a synchronized ballet. When a hawk attacks, the whole flock twists midair. A silver wave of movement, perfectly choreographed. It's not chaos, it's physics with feathers. Fun fact, their nesting colonies can pack over 30,000 nests in one tree. Imagine that, a tree buzzing, squeaking, and fluttering like a living, feathery city. No privacy, no peace, but somehow it works. Now you might call them pests, and sure, they can devastate farms, but in their world, they're survivors. They've learned to use community as armor, numbers as power, and adaptation as religion. So what do you think? Are the red-billed quailias nature's success story, or its most beautiful disaster? Maybe both. Because when the desert burns and rivers dry, this little bird doesn't fade away. It multiplies until the sky itself takes notice. And speaking of power in the air, our next survivor doesn't rely on numbers, it rules alone. A symbol of strength, freedom, and African thunder. Meet the African fish eagle, the voice of the continent's wild heart. If the red-billed qualia is the crowd, then the African fish eagle is the solo act. A one-bird anthem echoing across Africa's rivers. That piercing cry, you've heard it in documentaries. It's the sound that is Africa, wild, ancient, and untamed. You'll find this eagle perched high above the lakes and rivers of the savannah, white chest shining against the blue sky, brown wings stretched wide like a flag of confidence. It doesn't bother with deserts or forests. It wants open water, bright light, and a perfect view of its next meal. And here's the cool part. Its eyes are so sharp it can spot a fish from 2 kilometers away. Then, in one explosive dive, it folds those huge wings, tucks its talons, and slices through the surface like a spear. When it pulls back up, boom, a struggling fish clutched tight in its claws. Dinner served. This bird doesn't hunt for sport, it hunts with precision. Some say the fish eagle's accuracy rivals human snipers, which feels fair since it's been practicing for a few million years. And when the lakes shrink during drought, it adapts. It switches to birds, reptiles, even carrion. Whatever the season, the fish eagle finds a way. Fun fact, its call is so iconic that many African nations use it in films, songs, even ringtones. It's a symbol of independence and strength. Zimbabwe and Zambia both honor it on their flags. Not bad for a bird that spends most of its day yelling, "I'm awesome," over the water. But behind that drama lies discipline. Pairs mate for life, building giant stick nests reused year after year, some over 6 feet wide. They raise chicks through storms and droughts alike, proving that love, like flight, requires balance and patience. So tell me, is the African fish eagle the king of the lake, or just the loudest show-off in Africa? Maybe both, because when its cry rolls across the water at sunset, you realize some sounds don't need translation. And now, from rivers that shimmer with heat, we dive into the next frontier, where wind never rests and the horizon is nothing but waves. Meet the Wandering Albatross, the bird built for eternity over the endless blue. If the African fish eagle rules the rivers, then the Wandering Albatross is emperor of the open sea, a sailor with wings instead of sails, gliding endlessly over waves that never stop moving. Picture this. You're somewhere deep in the Southern Ocean, no land for 1,000 miles, and suddenly, a shadow crosses the water. A bird so wide it makes the horizon look smaller. That's the Wandering Albatross, with a wingspan of nearly 12 feet, the largest of any bird on Earth. But here's the part that makes it legendary. It barely flaps. This bird can glide for hours, sometimes days, without beating its wings once. It rides the wind like it's surfing the sky, using tiny shifts of its wingtips to steer. No engine, no effort, just pure, elegant aerodynamics. And it has the lifestyle to match. The Wandering Albatross spends most of its life out at sea, sleeping while gliding over the waves, feeding on squid and fish churned up by storms. It might not see land for months, and when it does, it's usually to find love. Their romance is something special. They mate for life, reuniting after years apart on lonely islands, scattered across the southern oceans. When they finally meet, they perform a dance, spreading wings, tapping beaks, and bowing to each other like old friends who never missed a beat. That bond lasts decades. Talk about long-distance relationships. Fun fact, in a single lifetime, one wandering albatross can travel over 3 million miles. That's the equivalent of flying to the moon and back 6 times. And it does it all without a passport or even landing fees. But there's a bittersweet twist. For all its grace, this bird is clumsy on land. It waddles, stumbles, and trips over its own feet, like a ballet dancer on roller skates. Yet the moment it catches wind under its wings, it becomes pure poetry. So what do you think? Is the wandering albatross the ultimate traveler, or just a bird that forgot how to stop? Maybe both, because in the endless blue, where no map can guide you and no road exists, this bird doesn't get lost. It just keeps finding more sky. And speaking of royalty among wanderers, our next bird wears the crown. Meet the northern royal albatross, the monarch of wind and storm. If the wandering albatross is the sailor, then the northern royal albatross is the captain, steady, powerful, and utterly unbothered by chaos. Where others see storms, this bird sees opportunity. You'll find it ruling the furious southern ocean, wings spread nearly 3 meters wide, cutting through freezing winds that circle Antarctica. The seas here are merciless, waves as tall as buildings, winds that could snap a tree, and yet the royal albatross glides through it all as if the storm itself was designed for it. Unlike its wandering cousin, this bird is loyal to just a few lonely islands, small wind-blasted dots in New Zealand's southern waters. That's where it breeds, once every 2 years, raising a single chick through a marathon of patience. Mom and dad take turns. One flies off across entire oceans to find food, while the other guards the nest for weeks, standing through sleet and salt spray. It's not glamorous, but that's what royalty looks like out here. Grace under pressure. Fun fact, the royal albatross doesn't fear the cold. It actually needs it. Its long wings work best in icy, gale-force winds, using air currents like invisible highways. When the sky turns black and the sea turns wild, that's when this bird comes alive. It doesn't fight the storm, it becomes it. And when the long months of parenting finally end, the chick takes off alone, facing years at sea before it ever returns. 5, sometimes 6 years without touching land. Just wind, water, and instinct. And yet when it comes back, it finds the exact island where it was born. How? No one really knows. Maybe it follows the scent of home. Maybe it just listens to the wind. So tell me, is the northern royal albatross brave for embracing the storm, or wise for letting the storm carry it? Maybe both. Because when the world rages, this bird spreads its wings wider. And from these roaring seas, we turn north, to cliffs carved by ice and salt, where a much smaller survivor rides the waves with a smile. Next, meet the Atlantic puffin, the clown-faced diver of the Northern Ocean. If the northern royal albatross is a king of storms, then the Atlantic puffin is the ocean's little comedian. A bird so charming, it looks like it flew straight out of a cartoon. With its bright orange beak, round belly, and that permanent look of surprise, the puffin might seem cute, but make no mistake, this bird is a professional survivor. You'll find it in some of the harshest seas on Earth, the cold, roaring waters of the North Atlantic, places where the wind never rests and the waves slam cliffs hard enough to shake the rocks. And somehow, the puffin thrives there, living a life equal parts adorable and extreme. Here's the hook. Despite looking like a chubby toy, this bird is an expert diver. It can plunge over 60 meters deep, using its wings like flippers underwater. That's right, it flies beneath the sea. While penguins waddle and gulls glide, the puffin literally does both. And talk about efficiency. These little dynamos can carry more than a dozen fish crosswise in their beaks at once. How? They've got tiny spines on their tongues and ridges on the inside of their beaks that hold each fish perfectly in place. It's nature's built-in grocery bag. Fun fact, when breeding season hits, puffins pair up and dig burrows into grassy cliffs, lining them with feathers and seaweed. After the chicks hatch, both parents take shifts at sea, flying back and forth with beakfuls of food through rain, fog, and relentless wind. And when the season ends, they vanish into the open ocean. No land, no rest, until the next summer rolls around. Here's a twist. That bright orange beak they're famous for, it fades to gray in winter. The color returns only when it's time to mate, like putting on a tux for date night. So yeah, puffins basically invented seasonal fashion. So what do you think? Is the Atlantic puffin just a cute face or a tough little beast in disguise? Maybe both. Because in a world of ice, wind, and endless waves, this tiny bird doesn't just endure, it makes survival look joyful. And speaking of joy in impossible places, our next bird lives where fire meets ocean, turning volcanic stone into home. Meet the lava heron, the hot-blooded hunter of the Galapagos. From the icy cliffs of the North Atlantic, we travel to a place that's the complete opposite. The volcanic islands of the Galapagos, where fire and ocean collide. And somehow, right in the middle of the lava and salt spray, lives a bird that thrives on heat. Meet the lava heron, the shadow hunter of stone and flame. This bird doesn't do color. Its feathers are slate gray, smoky blue, a perfect match for the jagged volcanic rock it calls home. While most herons wade through soft marshes or calm lakes, the lava heron stalks the tide pools of cooling lava flows, where the earth literally smokes beneath its feet. It's not just surviving the heat, it's using it. Here's the science bit. Those dark feathers don't just look cool, they actually absorb the sun's warmth, letting the heron keep its body temperature steady even when the sea winds turn sharp and cold. Think of it as a built-in solar panel, nature's way of saying no jacket required. And the hunting style? Patience perfected. The lava heron can stand motionless for minutes, sometimes longer, its sharp yellow eyes locked on the water. Then, in one lightning-fast strike, snap, a fish, crab, or unlucky lizard becomes lunch. Efficiency over flash every time. Fun fact, these herons are homebodies. While most of their cousins migrate, the lava heron never leaves the Galapagos. Every rock, every ripple, every pool, it knows them all. It's a specialist in a place most creatures can't even visit. And during breeding season, it adds a splash of color. Its legs turn bright blue, its beak glows turquoise, like a volcanic spark coming to life. So what do you think? Is the lava heron a minimalist genius or a heat-loving weirdo with great taste in real estate? Maybe both, because while others flee from the fire, this bird makes a home on its edge, proving that sometimes survival means staying exactly where the world burns. And from the smoldering coasts of the Galapagos, we move into the green heart of the planet, a place bursting with life, color, and danger. Next up, the cassowary, the rainforest armored giant. Part bird, part dinosaur, all attitude. If the lava heron is the quiet minimalist of the Galapagos, then the cassowary is the rainforest bouncer, massive, mysterious, and always ready for trouble. Picture a bird that looks like it escaped from the Jurassic era, put on a helmet, and decided to rule the tropics. That's the cassowary, part peacock, part velociraptor, all business. Standing up to 6 feet tall and weighing over 60 kilograms, this is one of the heaviest birds on Earth, and it can run up to 50 kilometers an hour. Those powerful legs, armed with dagger-like claws sharp enough to break bone. Yeah, not exaggerating. This is one of the few birds on the planet that can actually kill a human. And it doesn't even fly. But here's the twist. Despite that terrifying rep, the cassowary isn't a villain. It's the rainforest gardener. Every day it eats fruits by the handful, then wanders miles through dense jungle, spreading seeds in its droppings. Many tropical trees literally depend on it to reproduce. Without this bird, whole parts of the forest would vanish. So yeah, it might look like a dinosaur, but it's the reason the rainforest stays alive. And that helmet on its head, the casque, it's not just for show. Scientists think it helps deflect branches and even amplify deep booming calls that echo through the thick jungle air. Basically, it's wearing a built-in sound system. Fun fact, when it's calm, the cassowary makes the lowest pitched call of any bird on Earth. A deep, chest-rattling hum you can feel more than hear. It's like the rainforest itself is talking. Still, this isn't a creature you'd want to annoy. Cassowaries are shy, but corner one and you'll meet those claws firsthand. So the next time someone says fight or flight, remember, this bird chose fight and never looked back. So what do you think? Is the cassowary a killer in feathers or a misunderstood hero of the forest? Maybe both. Because in the chaos of the tropics, it proves that sometimes the fiercest protector is also the wildest one. And while the cassowary stomps through the jungle shadows, a very different kind of legend hums into view. Tiny, bright, and faster than your eyes can follow. Next, meet the bee hummingbird, the smallest bird on Earth with the biggest attitude. After the rainforest giant, let's shrink the scale. Way down. Meet the bee hummingbird, the tiniest bird on Earth, so small it could sit comfortably on your fingertip, and still look smug about it. This little creature, found only in Cuba, weighs less than 2 grams. That's lighter than a paperclip. Its nest, about the size of a golf ball. Its eggs, tinier than peas. And yet, despite its miniature frame, the bee hummingbird lives life like it's in fast forward. Its wings beat up to 80 times per second, creating that soft electric buzz that gives it its name. Its heart, over 1,200 beats a minute. To put that in perspective, if you're... From the fluttering spark of the bee hummingbird, we move into silence. Deep, humid silence. The kind that hangs heavy over African swamps, where time seems to stop, and something watches you back. That's the shoebill stork, a bird so strange it looks prehistoric, like it walked straight out of the dinosaur age and forgot to evolve. Standing over 5 feet tall, the shoebill doesn't waste energy. It doesn't sing, doesn't chase, doesn't show off. It just stands, perfectly still, for minutes, sometimes hours. And then, when the moment's right, strike. That massive shoe-shaped bill snaps down with a sound like breaking wood. Whatever's unlucky enough to be beneath, fish, frogs, even baby crocodiles, is gone in an instant. It's not elegant, it's not graceful, but it works. Here's the science. That oversized bill isn't just for show. It's designed for grabbing slippery prey in shallow water. Wide, strong, and precise. And those long legs, perfect for stalking through reeds without making a ripple. It's patience turned into a weapon. Fun fact, shoebills have something called a death stare. No joke. They'll stand motionless and stare directly at you with ice blue eyes that don't blink. Even field biologists admit it's unsettling. It's like the swamp itself judging your life choices. But despite their scary vibe, shoebills are gentle with their young. Parents bring food, shade chicks from the burning sun, and protect them fiercely from predators. They're slow, sure, but every movement counts. Every action means survival. So what do you think? Is the shoebill a monster or a master of patience? Maybe both. Because in a world obsessed with motion, this bird proves that stillness can kill and rule. And as the shoebill fades back into the reeds, our journey moves deeper into mystery. To a bird that's ancient, smelly, and somehow still thriving in the swampy jungles of South America. Meet the Hotsun, the leaf-eating half-reptile enigma that time forgot. If the shoebill stork is the swamp's silent assassin, then the Hotsun is its eccentric philosopher. A bird so weird it feels like nature made it on a dare. Found in the steamy wetlands of the Amazon, this creature looks like someone glued together a chicken, a peacock, and a time traveler. And somehow it works. The Hotsun doesn't eat bugs or fish. No, it eats leaves, lots of them. In fact, it's the only bird in the world that digests food like a cow. It has a special stomach chamber that ferments leaves, just like a mini rainforest brewery. And yeah, that means it smells. People call it the stink bird. Not the best branding, but when you're that unique, who cares about perfume? Its digestion process creates methane and heat, so the hoatzin spends a lot of time lounging in trees, burping softly while the jungle hums around it. It's not lazy, it's just chemically busy. Here's the fun part. The chicks are born with claws on their wings. Actual claws. When danger strikes, they drop into the water below, swim to safety, and then climb back up the branches using those little hooks. It's like a dinosaur's last party trick that evolution forgot to delete. And adults? They're clumsy flyers flapping awkwardly through the trees like overgrown leaves. But what they lack in grace, they make up for in attitude. Calling loudly, posturing proudly, and somehow always looking important. Fun fact, scientists still can't agree where the hoatzin belongs on the bird family tree. It's so different, it's like evolution threw its hands up and said, yeah, I don't know either. So what do you think? Is the hoatzin a prehistoric relic, or proof that being weird is its own kind of genius? Maybe both, because in a jungle full of predators and perfection, this smelly, slow, leaf-eating oddball found a way to last millions of years by being too strange to fail. And as the hoatzin rustles through the Amazon leaves, we rise again, out of the jungle, into a world where climates are changing faster than wings can keep up. Next up, the bald eagle, a symbol of strength that's learning to adapt in a changing world. From the tangled jungles of the Amazon, we soar into open sky, where power, pride, and freedom wear feathers. Meet the bald eagle, a bird so iconic it ended up on flags, coins, and history books, and somehow still manages to outlive the legend. You've seen it before, those white head feathers gleaming against a stormy sky, wings stretched wide over rivers and coasts. But behind the patriotic postcard, the bald eagle is, at its core, a tough, adaptable survivor. Here's the real story. These birds aren't just found in wild mountain scenes. They thrive everywhere. Icy lakes in Alaska, marshes in Florida, even near cities and highways. Anywhere there's fish and open water, you'll find that unmistakable silhouette circling high and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And when it strikes, it's pure precision. The bald eagle dives at 100 miles per hour, talons first, snatching fish straight from the surface without even getting wet. Then it glides off like it didn't just commit aquatic robbery. But here's the part most people don't know. Not long ago, this bird almost vanished. By the 1970s, pollution and pesticides like DDT had wiped out nearly all of them in the US. The symbol of freedom was on the edge of extinction. And yet, they came back. Thanks to conservation and sheer resilience, the bald eagle population rebounded from a few hundred nests to tens of thousands today. A comeback story so good, even Hollywood would blush. Fun fact, they're not bald. That white head is just mature plumage. Young eagles are all brown, and it takes about 5 years for them to earn that crown. You could say they grow into their legend. And here's a twist. For all their power, they're not above a little opportunism. They'll steal fish from ospreys, scavenge carrion, and pick easy meals when they can. Royalty, yes, but with street smarts. So tell me, is the bald eagle noble or just a clever opportunist wrapped in glory? Maybe both, because freedom, like flight, isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. And speaking of persistence, our next flyer takes the idea of speed, precision, and nerve to an entirely different level. Meet the peregrine falcon, the fastest creature on the planet. You think fast? You have no idea. Meet the peregrine falcon, the fastest animal on Earth. Not the fastest bird, the fastest creature, period. When this predator dives, it hits 386 kilometers per hour. That's 240 miles an hour. Faster than a Formula One car, a fighter jet on landing, or your Wi-Fi on a good day. Now picture it, a small slate blue shape slicing through the sky, eyes locked on its target far below. A pigeon, a duck, maybe an unlucky dove. At first it soars high, almost out of sight, then folds its wings tight, dives like a bullet, and boom! Impact. One strike, one meal, done. That's not hunting. That's physics with feathers. So how does it survive those speeds? Science, baby. The peregrine's body is built like a missile, streamlined wings, dense muscles, and a heart that pumps fast enough to handle G-forces that would knock a human out cold. Even its nostrils have special bony cones that regulate air pressure during the dive. Basically, built-in shock absorbers. But it's not just a wild bird of cliffs and canyons anymore. Here's the twist. It's moved into cities. Skyscrapers make perfect cliffs, and pigeons, free buffet. You can find peregrines nesting in New York, London, Dubai, even right above busy streets. Urban nature redefined. They've adapted to our chaos and turned it into their hunting ground. Fun fact, one of these falcons were once nearly wiped out by pesticides like DDT, just like the bald eagle. But with protection and clean air, they bounce back, faster, tougher, smarter. Today, they're the ultimate symbol of urban wilderness, proof that wild hearts can live anywhere. So what do you think? Is the peregrine falcon nature's perfect predator, or just a thrill junkie with wings? Maybe both. Because in a world obsessed with speed, this bird doesn't compete. It defines the finish line. And as the falcon disappears into the clouds, our journey slows, darkens, and deepens into the twilight realms of forests and stone. Next up, the Eurasian eagle owl, the silent monarch of the night. When the peregrine falcon rules the day, the Eurasian eagle owl owns the night. It's huge, haunting, and perfectly silent. A creature that makes the darkness feel alive. Those eyes, glowing orange, unblinking, like twin embers in the cold. And when it stares at you, you swear it's reading your mind, or maybe deciding if you're worth the effort. With a wingspan stretching over 6 feet, this is one of the largest owls on Earth. It hunts in silence, its wings specially designed to muffle every beat of air. No whoosh, no flutter, just death delivered quietly. One moment you're a rabbit nibbling grass, the next gone. And that silence isn't just for stealth, it's strategy. The eagle owl's ears are asymmetrical, one slightly higher than the other, allowing it to triangulate sound with sniper-like precision. It can hear a mouse move under snow, then swoop down through total darkness without ever missing. But here's the twist. This fierce predator isn't limited to wild forests. It's thriving across Europe and Asia, from snowy mountains to city edges. You might spot one perched on a church steeple, watching the world like a stone gargoyle that suddenly breathes. They're ghostly neighbors you never knew you had. Fun fact, despite their serious looks, Eurasian eagle owls have a surprisingly goofy side. When relaxed, they can puff up like fluffy pom-poms, or stretch their necks and sway when curious. They're basically the goth cousin of the cat, moody, majestic, and secretly adorable, and their loyalty runs deep. Mates stay together for years, raising chicks on rocky ledges, guarding them fiercely against anything that comes too close, including humans. If you see one hiss, back up. That's not a warning. That's your last chance. So tell me, is the eagle owl terrifying or just misunderstood royalty? Maybe both. Because in a world that sleeps at night, this bird reminds us that silence can be louder than thunder. And as dawn creeps over frozen fields, a new sound breaks the quiet. A sharp, clever call echoing through snow and sun alike. Our final survivor waits there, wings flashing black and white, the black-billed magpie, the trickster that thrives on wit in the cold. After the solemn majesty of the eagle owl, let's end this journey with a spark of mischief. The black-billed magpie, the bird that refuses to take life too seriously. It's loud, clever, flashy, and somehow manages to thrive where most creatures freeze. You'll find it across North America's cold plains, from snowy Canada to the Rockies, hopping between frost-covered trees, its tail glinting with blue-green light. And even in minus 20 degrees, this bird looks like it's having the time of its life. Here's the thing about magpies. They're smart. Not find food smart. Plan ahead, use tools, recognize themselves in a mirror. Smart. They're one of the few non-mammals on Earth that can do that. So yeah, the magpie knows it's fabulous. And that intelligence, it's pure survival fuel. They cache food in hundreds of hidden spots, remembering each location, even under deep snow. When predators move in, they form alarm chains, shouting warnings from tree to tree like a feathery gossip network. Community, strategy, and chaos, all rolled into one black and white troublemaker. But don't mistake playfulness for weakness. Magpies are tough. They live through blizzards, droughts, and human expansion, feeding on anything: seeds, insects, leftovers, even the occasional French fry from a parking lot. Adaptation is their superpower. Fun fact, they're obsessed with shiny things. Coins, foil, jewelry. If it sparkles, they'll steal it. Not because they need it, but because it delights them. Imagine being that full of personality in sub-zero weather. And here's the twist. Scientists have found that magpies actually hold funerals. When one dies, others gather quietly around, calling softly, as if acknowledging the moment. It's eerie, beautiful, almost human. So what do you think? Is the black-billed magpie a noisy thief or a genius survivor wrapped in feathers? Maybe both, because in a world where storms never end, it doesn't just endure, it laughs at the cold. And as this clever trickster spreads its wings, the snow settles, the sky clears, and our journey through Earth's harshest places comes full circle. From ice to fire, mountain to sea, 25 birds have shown us one truth: that life, in all its wild brilliance, always finds a way to fly. From the silence of snow to the roar of storms, from the thin air of mountain peaks to the burning breath of deserts, we've traveled through every extreme this planet could throw at life. And through it all, one thing never changed. The wings kept beating. 25 species, 25 ways to say, I won't give up. The emperor penguin, who cradles life on ice. The bar-headed goose, who climbs higher than the clouds. The wandering albatross, who never stops circling the earth. The cassowary, who guards the rainforest like a living relic. The peregrine falcon, who dives faster than sound itself. Each one rewriting the definition of endurance. They're not the biggest, not the strongest, but they're survivors. Proof that adaptability is the most powerful muscle in nature. In the desert, in the snow, in the sky, in the sea, they find a way, not by fighting nature, but by learning its rhythm. And maybe that's what they've been teaching us all along. That survival isn't about dominance, it's about harmony, patience, resilience. It's about standing your ground when the wind howls and taking flight when the world tells you to fall. Because every one of these birds is a small miracle in motion. A reminder that life doesn't just exist on the edge, it thrives there. So as the last feathers fade into the wind and the echoes of their calls drift into the horizon, remember this: you don't have to rule the world to belong in it. You just have to keep flying, no matter how harsh the sky. This has been 25 Birds Built for the Harshest Places on Earth. A journey through extremes, a tribute to endurance, and a celebration of everything that still dares to rise.